This is Culture Trumpet episode 5. And I don't know. What are they going to talk about today? Probably some films. I do believe they're going to talk about, let's overtake this chap yet. They're going to talk about going to the cinema and how it's changed over the years. They're also going to talk about some other things. Again, as I've said, I'll move out the way, you absolute jackass. Anyway, roll the credits. It's episode 5.
You know, when you said that there was a new mobile voiceover service, I thought that meant they would actually come to us to record it. I didn't realise it was quite so literal.
Yeah. And a strongly worded letter will be going.
Yes. So let's move on. And we approach this regular section with ever-increasing dread. But I understand you have arranged another interview.
Another one. I mean, last week's was okay. Right? There was someone. It was completely frigging pointless because nobody could understand what they were saying.
Well, there is that.
But, you know, Spotify does have that feature to slow things down, and that definitely wasn't in our minds when we booked him.
No, absolutely. No.
But
just a happy accident.
Happy accident. Yes. So, finally, I say finally because it might be a real person, you don't know.
You never know.
Here with me to talk about his epic tour of the world's classic Art Deco cinemas is Patrick Dupont. So tell me, what inspired you to begin this incredible journey?
Dan.
Okay, I guess you must get asked that all the time. Not surprised you don't want to answer. So, how do you feel the experience of watching a film in an Art Deco cinema is different than, say, I don't know, one that's in a modernist or a neo-brutalist building, for example?
Dan?
What? Why are you interrupting me?
Just looking, it says here that he's French. It's Patrice Dupont.
What?
Can you speak French, Dan?
Oh, oui, mon ami.
Right. That's a no, then. Did you check that he can speak English?
No.
Apologise.
I'm sorry, Mark. I didn't mean to ruin this segment again.
And apologise to him.
I don't speak French.
Try.
Okay, hang on. Bear with the modern marvels of the internet. How to say sorry in French. Je suis désolé.
That is quite alright. Do not mention it. There we go.
Better move on.
Yeah.
Move on to episode 5 fully.
If we have any French listeners, we don't know. Okay.
Quickly moving on.
Okay, so what have we been watching, reading, listening to? What's in the news this week?
Well, I have been watching the greatest reality TV show in the world. Because it's back on the television.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, but when I'm in a castle, it's definitely nothing like Australia on ITV.
Oh, God. Okay.
But
I'm going to regret asking you this, but tell me more.
no, I won't. I was just going to say that's it.
Oh.
Honestly, I really wasn't going to suffer you through that.
Oh, right. Okay. The wave of relief.
You're welcome. Well, I have watched, and I'm not sure if you've seen it yet either, Netflix's most expensive film ever, Red Notice.
I haven't. I've not heard very good things about it.
Go on, go ahead, Mark.
So.
Ask me, what did I think of it?
What did you think of Red Notice?
Crock of shit. I'm glad you asked.
Oh, there we go. Reinforcing what I'd already heard.
It's proof that no matter how much shit you throw at a wall, not all of it will stick, but some of it will. But it's still not good. It's still shit.
It's still shit on a wall.
I was disappointed. I'm a big fan of Ryan Reynolds, and who doesn't like Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Indeed, yeah.
Gal Gadot, fair enough. Whatever. She's thrown in there too. Obviously, Wonder Woman, pretty bloody good. But the story, I just didn't follow it. There were some really cool scenes that you can see where the money's gone, other than The Rock's $20 million signing fee. But it was just boring and predictable. Yeah. And there's a sequel apparently.
I think it's probably one of those cases where they've got this trio of stars together, and then it's like, oh right, now what do we do with them?
Yeah. Here's
You know.
spy heist film. Because people like those. People like Ryan Reynolds. That's Deadpool.
Yeah, and Dwayne the John Roxon,
Exactly.
he's good in everything, isn't he? So,
But like even him, like he's love him or loathe him. He's a good actor. He's not got this far being a bad actor, but
no, I enjoy watching his stuff. I think he has a type, and he plays that type very well, and he doesn't take himself too seriously.
But he was really stiff in this film.
Oh right, okay.
And that I just thought like there was no expression through his face, and he didn't even do his eyebrow raise.
Oh, that's what we're all here for.
Oh, I know, and it was a waste of time.
Right. Do you know? I think those are the worst ones. If a film's good, fantastic. If a film is like monumentally awful, you can at least get upset about that and have a rant and kind of find the humour in how bad it is. But I think when a film is just poor and mediocre,
you become really annoyed that you've just sank 2.5 hours of and the marketing behind it it's the biggest film they've ever done. They didn't mention how shit it was.
No,
but it's funny that, isn't it? Those
weird,
marketing people are going, yeah, maybe we shouldn't do that. But yeah, I was disappointed. But there we are, moving on.
Okay, well, moving on. Ridley Scott's been busy, isn't he?
Oh, bless him, for lots of different reasons.
Bless him. He's a grumpy old bugger, and I love that. So he's...
Was he 80 yet? Or is he late 70s?
I think he's 80 now, but he doesn't take any shit, really, does he?
No.
When it comes to... I think he's been there, he's done that. I think he's earned the right to give his opinion on most things in terms of film these days.
Now, to a point, and I know where this is going, because again, we talk about these things, about what we're going to talk about, because otherwise it'd be even more incoherent than it already is.
Yes.
So I assume you're referring to his comments about The Last Duel and how it's not quite done as well as he would have wanted.
Yes.
And do we have a quote, Mark?
I think it was, he said, I think what it boils down to, what we've got today, are the audiences who are brought up on these fucking cell phones. The millennial do not ever want to be taught anything unless you're told it on a cell phone.
Now, number one, he's made a film about a really difficult subject matter. Number two, sadly, I think I'm in the bracket of millennial. I'm not entirely certain, but I probably am. With that comes the films that I was raised on. We're looking at Pixar. We're looking at Toy Story. Those kinds of genre of film. And even then, we can push Ghostbusters and Back to the Future because that's what our parents were raised on. Now, the fact that The Last Duel wasn't a nice, bright, shiny film, let's look at Marvel, just meant I didn't want to go see it. Boring.
Yeah.
And it's a horrendous subject content.
I think a lot of it's down to that. I think ultimately, the reviews were almost universally positive, right? It got some really good reviews.
But from critics or audiences?
Critics. It was very well reviewed. But I think ultimately where we are at the moment, and this is probably a subject we're going to get onto in a little while, but where we're at the moment is people are kind of coming back to the cinema and they want light-hearted, escapist fun, right?
You're not wrong.
They want Bond, they want Ghostbusters, they want the Marvel movies. They don't want a 2+ hour historical drama about
sexual
assault, right? As good as it might be, as beautiful as it undoubtedly looks, because it's Ridley Scott and as well written and as well acted and all this kind of thing, it's not what you would call light-hearted escapist fun. And I just think it was unfortunate that it was released when it was. And it's a shame. And from all accounts, Ridley Scott's more than happy with the marketing effort that Disney / Fox put into it. He's not complaining that they didn't support the film or anything like that. I just think it was badly timed. But in terms of blaming it on the millennials and their fucking cell phones, no, I don't think so.
That's the bit I find unfair because maybe the generation below myself, maybe because they were brought up on reading on an iPad for the first time and get given a book and they don't know what to do with it. But I make my decisions based on the marketing I see, because if he'd said, "Oh, they'll only so what was the quote again? Audiences that are brought up on these effing televisions." Yes, probably. But that's also how he makes his money. So
yeah.
that wouldn't
But
have worked.
again, I think a film grabs an audience or it doesn't. And his films will. So you sit someone down in front of, you sit a millennial, quote unquote millennial, down in front of Alien or Gladiator, or Blade Runner, or any one of his other films, and they will be, or The Martian or whatever, and they will be more than entertained. They will sit through it, because ultimately there's a certain type of film that people want to watch, and generally speaking, those escapist, not necessarily fantasy films, but those escapist films generally do better business than the darker, more straightforward historical dramas.
Quite right. And yeah, I just thought it was an offhand quote that resonated, and I thought, no, I'm sorry, Sir Ridley. So I think he's a sir. You're wrong there. Sorry.
I think in a different year, he may well have had a bigger hit.
We've just come off. I say we've just come off. We're still within a pandemic, and here's a film that you're going to see a sexual assault from 4 different points of view. Crack on.
Yeah.
It's not a nice watch.
No, it's not. It's not your light-hearted popcorn movie. Having said that, it is now on Disney Plus.
The Last Duel.
Yep.
Ooh, I'm still not going to watch it, Mark.
I mean, I'm gonna, because I'm a huge Ridley Scott fan.
Yeah, but I am too. But it's more he's upsetted my generation, man.
Well, your generation is just a bunch of snowflakes.
Big up the brothers. Oh, you're so woke.
So it's on Disney Plus now, so everyone can watch it in their own time
for free.
For free, and make their own mind up, which I will certainly be doing. But he's keeping busy as well, isn't he? Because he's got another film out already.
Yes.
So that's House of Gucci.
Do you know you got to buy one get one free on Adam Driver?
Yes. Have you seen that one?
No. Hang on, this is a new feature. No, we haven't got there yet. Sorry. No, I haven't. It's on the list because I'm a big Lady Gaga fan. Who isn't?
Me.
Okay, well, you're old. Didn't realise that Ridley Scott did it in the first place.
Oh, okay, right.
I can hear you mumbling there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Adam Driver, it's got a good cast. It's got Jared Leto in it. I'll let it slide.
At least you can barely recognise him. That's a positive, I suppose.
Exactly, but he's still going, do you know what? I went method. I want an Oscar, please, mate. Cheers.
Yeah. No, he's churning them out, because then he's got a one about Napoleon that he's doing next.
Do you think Adam Driver will be in that?
Probably. He'll probably, I don't know. I don't know where
Buy
that was
2
going.
get 1 free.
I was going to say I was probably going to play one of the horses, but I'm sure he'll be in it somewhere. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, Andy Serkis did an amazing thing for chimpanzees, but I don't think Adam Driver's going to be the horseman, is he?
Where was I going with that? No, I don't know. Yeah, he's got that one coming out. He's working on the Alien TV series. He recently revealed the Blade Runner live-action TV series as well under development.
I think he's done this very cleverly, because both The Last Duel and the House of Gucci hasn't done I don't think the House of Gucci's done particularly well. It's getting a bit of slack from. No, it's taking a lot of flack. Sorry, from the Gucci estate. So I do think he was getting all this bad press. And he was like, yeah, but Alien that you really really liked, and obviously Blade Runner, which I'm also famous for. Well, that's going to come back in TV at some point. So he'll thank me in a number of years' time.
Maybe so.
Maybe it's just dilute the bad press. But I don't know.
Well, I think one of the things that because he had some comments about Marvel movies the other week as well, didn't he? And I think part of this is interviewers now will ask these questions because they know they'll get a pithy answer, and it will snowball into headlines and then clickbait articles and all this kind of thing. It's like when Martin Scorsese was talking about Marvel movies a couple of years ago when The Irishman came out. And look how long that whole thing has dragged on for.
Yeah, quite right. You're not wrong.
And it's like, maybe it's intentional, maybe it isn't, but a question gets asked, it gets a pithy answer, fanboys get upset, and then it just drags on and on and on. So I think it's just going to be one of those. And he's one of those directors like Scorsese, right? Who's earned the right, really, to say what they like. You don't have to agree with it. I don't necessarily agree with it.
No.
He's probably my favourite living director, or certainly top 2 or 3. I don't agree with what he said, but he's perfectly entitled at this stage in his career to say what he thinks.
Because he's won countless Oscars, isn't he, for his efforts?
I mean, probably not as many as you would think, but he's won Oscars. But looking at the movies, he's done. Let's have a look here. 1, 2, 3.
You said Gladiator. He's done. Obviously, did. I'm certainly not going to say Terminator 2 because that was Jim Cameron.
But he's done Alien, Blade Runner, Legend. Black Rain, Thelma and Louise, 1492, Gladiator, Hannibal, which I prefer to Silence of the Lambs personally. Black Hawk Down, which is an incredible film. Kingdom of Heaven, the theatrical cut is a bit crap, but the director's cut is phenomenal. Just a phenomenal film. American Gangster, which is just brilliant. Denzel Washington. Robin Hood is a piece of crap, but there you go.
Wait, was that the Robin Hood that came out with
Russell Crowe?
Oh, hang on, I'm thinking. What film am I thinking of? With Robin Griffith, King Arthur.
No.
Cut that nonsense.
No. So, and then obviously Prometheus and Alien Covenant, The Martian, All the Money in the World was quite good.
So had its challenges. So fair play to him there.
And he kind of turned that around in record time in terms of fixing that. So he's the good far outweighs the bad. So okay, that's Ridley Scott.
That's enough for a lifetime, I think.
Yeah, I reckon. Until it's announced he's directing the next Avengers film.
No, do you know what the best? Do you know what the next best Marvel director would be? And it would be the funniest thing ever. He would never do it because he would turn in his grave, even though he's not in one yet. Scorsese doing a Marvel film would be hilarious.
I think if Scorsese did a Marvel film and Kevin Feige was feeling particularly flush with cash and said to Scorsese, all right, smart ass, here's 200 million.
See how you do it.
Make us a film. Show us how you do it.
Yeah.
And the way that Marvel are kind of branching out and going all in on the kind of multiverse and weirdness, you could kind of see them almost doing that,
I would love to see a 4-hour sort of like a period drama, maybe. I say period drama, but like I could see Scorsese doing a really good like Agent Carter film.
Yeah.
Really spy and sleuthy.
Like a kind of like a 40s, 50s kind of noir kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think, and we're going off on a tangent here, and maybe not Scorsese, but I think that they could do that kind of thing. They could certainly do it in terms of like on Disney Plus, where they kind of get a big name director, and they can almost. I wouldn't even say it's a risk anymore. They can just get a big name director, give them a character who's maybe not that well known, and go, right, here's a character from Marvel. These, we want, as long as you cover these 3 points to tie it into the rest of the universe, go wild. Do what you want with it. 6 episodes, off you go. And I could see them maybe doing that within the next couple of years. That wouldn't surprise me if they did that, because they don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore. And there are, they're getting these criticisms of like it's just this movie factory turning out the same kind of film every time. So if Kevin Feige could go, all right, I'll show them. If they want different, I'll give them different. Be careful what you wish for. Okay, it's almost time for our quiz. But before then, the latest installment of our regular feature, has Dan seen Die Hard yet? So Dan, drum roll please. Have you seen Die Hard yet?
No.
It's Dan versus Mark.
Okie dokie. Right, time for our quiz. And again, this time round, we are going with movie poster taglines.
Yes.
So, who is going first this time?
I won last time.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll let you decide, because I'm generous.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, I'll go first this time. My first one. trapped in time, surrounded by evil, low on gas.
Is it a Sam Raimi film?
It is.
Obviously, it's starring Bruce Campbell.
It is.
It's got to be Ash versus Evil. No, that's the series. It's one of the Evil Dead films, but I couldn't tell you which one.
It's the third one.
I wouldn't have got that. So
Okay, cool. No worries. Right, your go.
his story will touch you, even though he can't.
Jimmy Savile, The Golden Years.
Oh no! Oh,
now then.
You're making it sound like I've made this one up completely.
Oh, his story will touch you. Something creepy. His story will touch you.
It's really bad now. I'm reading it again.
Yeah. Do you know? I have seen this.
All right, you can't have a point because you just can't. It's gone way too long. I'll give you a clue, and if you can get it, you can have my respect.
Go on.
It's a Tim Burton film.
Oh, it's Edward Scissorhands, isn't it?
Yeah, well done. You're not having it.
No, that's fine. Okay. Where all the other bonds end, this one begins.
Bonds, as in BOND.
S.
Thank you.
There's a pretty big clue there in terms of what series it is.
Well, I know. I mean, it's not the latest one.
No.
So I'm going to go Casino Royale.
No.
No idea then.
Moonraker.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Oh, okay.
I didn't make it up. Not like that dirty, touchy one.
I actually looked for one of the Bonds last week and I couldn't see a tagline, so I thought, I can't be bothered.
Not many of them seem to have them.
No.
Yeah.
Anyway. Go on, it is your second. On the air and unaware.
Oh, right, okay.
One of us has got to score something this week, otherwise.
Oh, God, I do know this one. Oh, is it Anchorman?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
Well, you're wrong. It is The Truman Show.
Oh, shit, yes.
I'm sorry.
He will be. Okay. Let the magic begin.
I know what I'm thinking of straight away. Is it Magic Mike?
Why was that the first one you thought of?
Because it's in the title?
No.
Oh, that was a bit of a flippant response there for myself, but I'll suffer the consequences.
Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, really? Might have got that annoyingly.
Yep. Go on.
Magic Mike. Right. Oh, I can't take this one seriously. I have to go from that. Who will survive and what will be left of them?
Oh, bloody hell. You're going to have to give us a clue.
I don't really know of a clue for this one. It's... Okay, you can have... I mean, if I gave you the genre, I think you'll walk it. So maybe I'll go, it's a 1970s film.
Body Snatchers.
Oh, Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right.
Oh, you were so confident with that one as well, then.
I thought it was something like that, and then you said 70s, and obviously there's a famous 70s version, but okay, fair enough. Right. 5 total strangers team up for the perfect crime. They don't know each other's name, but they've got each other's number.
I'll just go straight for a clue, please.
A debut movie.
Oh, for friggin' who?
Well,
The director?
I mean, that might just give it away. Yeah, the director's debut movie.
5. Got each other's number. I can't really work out what that relates to. None of the Ocean's films, because there's 11 of them, famously. I can't have the point because I don't know the name of it, but is it got Matthew Broderick in it?
No.
That's not the one with Ben Stiller in that as well. It's same film. I think it's quite modern with that. Not a clue.
The Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs.
I'm surprised it wasn't just... the tagline wasn't just the nth film by Quentin Tarantino.
It's not the kind of tagline that trips off the tongue, I'll give you that one. It's a bit of a mouthful. Okay,
well, this is going horrendously bad.
It isn't it just, yeah.
At least it's not just me this week. Okay, number 4. The Great Adventure. The Great Entertainment.
The Great Adventure, The Great Entertainment.
Yes, with exclamation points at each of those statements.
Oh, I can imagine. Go on, I'll have to have another clue.
Do you want easy or do you want slightly harder?
We'll go with slightly harder.
Okay. It slightly harder. Okay. It's set in the past.
Go on, I don't know.
So the easy clue.
Yeah.
Do 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 do.
Is that The Great Escape?
Meant to be.
Wow.
I was important. The Great Adventure, The Great Entertainment, The Great Escape.
Okay, right, yeah.
I'll be on at Christmas. Don't worry.
Yep. Right, my last one.
Oh, I just want one.
Hang on.
Pardon?
Hang on.
Is that the quote?
Yep.
Have you taken like an alternative tagline from a film we keep talking about?
Nope.
Okay, so it's not Die Hard.
No.
Ah, I'll take a clue, please.
Do you want an easy clue or a less easy clue?
I'll have an easy clue because we've only got one between us now. As in, like, we've got one quote each, or one tagline each, I should say, and we yeah.
I thought I'd change tack this week. All right, so it's obviously it's not Die Hard, right? Die Hard on a Mountain.
Oh my Jesus, wept. Is it still a Bruce Willis film?
Nope.
Oh fucking hell! Escape from Witch Mountain. I don't care. I don't care.
Cliffhanger.
Oh, fuck off. Right, your last one and we move on. Nothing on earth can come between them.
Yeah. Again, this is one I feel like
We're so bad at this.
We are, aren't we? Jesus. Nothing on earth. Give me a clue.
I'll give you a nice easy one just so at least one of us can still have a job on this podcast.
Yeah.
I was going to go with selfish cow as my clue.
Selfish cow. No.
They
go
could
on.
have both fitted on the door.
Oh God, Titanic.
I was like, I'll go for an epic for my last one. A nice epic film. Nothing on earth can come between them. I was like, really?
That doesn't sound Titanic-y at all, does it?
No, they should have just said it's bloody
Look out
cold
for
in
the
their
iceberg.
waters. Yeah. Right, so a
Don't
good
spoil the
resounding.
ending.
I remember, my nan, bless her, I remember my mum saying to her, oh, Titanic's on this weekend. Oh, yeah, I know how it ends, though. Oh, all right, then. True story, that. Anyway,
Okay,
naught
we
all
both
around.
did fucking terribly on
What
that
an absolute delightful part of the podcast. And if you got points, then congratulations.
Yeah, that didn't get... This section isn't getting tired at all, is it?
You know how, like, Radio 2 does Pop Master, which I've discovered recently, even though it's been going probably since I was born.
Oh, yeah.
I get a few on that, and I get quite proud of myself. This one, I'm just appalled.
I even get some right on University Challenge.
Jesus wept. You didn't tell me I went to Cambridge.
Right? But no, this is just awful. It's getting worse.
Maybe we shake things up next week.
We may need to think of some serious format changes next week. Okay, so...
Roll the jingle for the next bit, I say.
Yes, go for it.
It's time for topic or topics of the week.
Cinemas and the culture of going to said thing.
Yes, so I think because we were recently talking, weren't we, about kind of the cinemas reopening and all these delayed films now being released, and I think people are now getting back into the swing of things in terms of going to the cinema. But obviously, even without what's been going on over the last year or so, it's changed a huge amount over the years.
Massively. Even in the last, well, I don't know, 20, 30 years or so. I mean, used to be able to smoke in cinemas. Can't do that anymore. But, let's go back to a time pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, where life was good, right? The last Harry Potter had just come out. You were quite excited to see the end of the franchise. You'd go with your mates. It'd be packed. Probably a time before Netflix even existed. God forbid. They were still... What were they back then? Love Film?
Well, no. Love Film was the British company that did the same as what Netflix did at the time, which was where you could get your DVDs through the post.
I'll take that as a win. I was sort of right.
Yeah.
And,
but that's right. The streaming services
were not a thing.
pretty much non-existent. Yeah,
And then we'll move forward a few years. Marvel becomes this behemoth of a studio, and the next best Marvel film was coming out year after year after year. Then the world went a bit crap, and then what would be the first film that I went to go back to see in the cinema? Spiral from the Book of Saw. 18
And how was that?
Well, if you've read the Culture Trumpet website or been on the Steelbook Blu-ray website, my review is there. It was okay. But was it worth going back to the cinema for and risking my health? Probably not. But that was the first film I saw post-COVID. What was yours, Mark? I think we spoke about it recently.
I think the first one I saw was Peter Rabbit 2.
Classic. It's a classic.
Classic. Quickly followed by a Quiet Place 2, which was much more my kind of thing.
But I wasn't a huge... I wouldn't go to the cinema every week as an adult. When I was a kid, it was a great part of my childhood going to the cinema.
Oh, yeah.
Most weekends with my grandfather. And where I'm from, my village had a cinema that's now flats, and that's sad. So the culture of that has changed from local theatres into just these multiplexes. But again, we'll come on to that in a sec. Set in the scene. Storytellers. Sponsor us, damn it. But we're in a world now where the films have been delayed and delayed and delayed. So going to see Spiral was quite exciting, because I hadn't seen a big film for a while. Not great. Films then started to get delayed again, because again, COVID still around, wasn't playing ball. And then we had James Bond come out. Better. Much better than seeing Spiral.
Oh, yeah.
And then another film, which we've talked about extensively on this podcast, Halloween, came out. Now, this was when I noticed the biggest change in culture and going to the cinema of recent years. Mainly because everybody seemed to be on their phone. I say everybody, 5 or 6 people were on their phone in the theatre of about 60.
Yeah.
It makes a massive difference to the experience when you see a little light go off. And some people even had the sound on, and that was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then I think the next thing I saw was Shang-Chi, and they were just kids in there causing havoc.
Yeah.
Shouting, throwing shit, laughing at stuff that just wasn't funny, like in real serious parts. And 3 or 4 people got up and just told them where to go.
Yeah.
Now I think back to me as a youth, and you think you would never do that in a cinema.
No.
So my sort of first post-COVID cinema experiences have been shocking, and it's really, really, really put me off going. And my theory is that we are now a generation we are a world of things are on demand when I want them, anytime.
Yes.
If the brand new blockbuster film, take Red Notice as an example, is on, it's a bit crap, you can whap out your phone and look on Twitter.
Yeah.
You don't do that in the cinema. You can't do that in the cinema. And people are forgetting that.
No, I think you're right. One of the fun things, without a doubt, of cinemas being closed at kind of COVID, were these Twitter watch-alongs, which a lot of the directors would do, with their film, and everyone could kind of press play at the same time, watch along. The director would answer questions on Twitter and all that kind of thing. So there's like an interactive experience of watching the film with the filmmakers. But you're right, you've then got this kind of inbuilt thing of like, oh, there's a comment I've got about this thing that I'm watching, or I'm a bit bored with it or whatever, so I'll just have a look on my phone for 5 minutes and blah, blah, blah. Well, that's fine at home when it's just you and maybe a couple of other people, but not in a cinema, especially when not only you've paid to go in there, but other people have paid and they're there for a night out.
And this ties quite nicely into one of the notes we made, which was the cost of the damn thing these days.
Oh, yeah. It is atrocious. It's
probably not as exponential as from when you were a young man, but, I do remember a time, and I remember a time, I'm sure this was right, that one ticket used to be, 15 quid? Am I making that up, and has it come down since then? Or
there was a couple of years ago, certainly if you wanted like the deluxe fancy seats or the big quote-unquote IMAX screen, or the X Plus or
there's about 4 or 5 different bloody screens these days.
Yeah, but they're basically just bigger than normal, right? Those on the recliners and all that kind of thing. Yeah, some of those tickets with a premium would be maybe up to 15 quid. One thing I have noticed is cinemas now, obviously in trying to get people back, certainly have certain days where it's cheaper, certain times where it's cheaper. Obviously, if you want to pay for the monthly membership card and it's like £15 a month, but go and see as many films as you like.
But from what I remember, it used to be, £4 or £5 a film maybe back in the day. And then I remember it rising and rising to about £12, £15 when, View were trying to beat Odeon and Cineworld. And, then the price sort of like leveled out. But then there was a cinema that opened in our city and it was for about £4.50 a ticket. Then since then, I just remember all the prices coming back down because they had to compete.
Yeah. It takes one of them to do that, though, and it can be a bit of a gamble because you would, I guess, your gamble is that what you don't make on the individual ticket is covered by the increased numbers of people coming to that cinema,
but also the
and obviously,
concessions that cost,
and it's the
a
concessions
mortgage.
where they make their money. Because the majority of the ticket price goes back to the studio, at least for the first few weeks. I think it's on like a sliding scale where when the film first comes out, the studio get the vast majority of that ticket price. And then as the film's out for longer and longer, the studio gets less and the cinemas get more. But obviously the attendance is going down as well.
Yeah,
so the proportion per ticket, the cinemas might get more, but because the number of people going are dropping, they don't actually end up getting more, if you know what I mean.
And with the world of pandemic, introduced this new concept of simultaneous releasing.
Yes. So, as we've had with Disney when they put, the Black Widow and a couple of the other Disney movies on at the same time as in the cinemas, and you could either go, for a family of four, it might, it could cost 50 or 60 quid easily to go to the cinema to watch one film, or you can pay 20 quid and watch it at home. That's pretty difficult to compete with for a cinema, really. Especially
with the amount of content that you can get for that price.
Oh, absolutely.
But, correct me if I'm wrong here, was Black Widow Premier Access, or was that...
It was, yeah. Yeah,
sure.
Black Widow was, yeah. Yeah,
but,
so the same day as the cinema release.
That's right. So you could pay, 20 quid for a one-off.
Yeah. And then you've got it. Watch it as many times as you like. Or you could pay £15 for one person, 30 quid, 40 quid for two or three people.
Watch it for the one-off and off you go.
Yeah, yeah. So... there's that's changed things. And again, the way, as well as the streaming services and everything they offer, and obviously they offer back catalogues of well-known films and family favourites, but as we were just talking about Red Notice, they're making so much of their own content, or if they're not making their own content, they're buying ready-made films. The UK release of Green Knight was delayed, and in the end Amazon Prime bought it. So now if you're a Prime subscriber, you can watch this brand new film, The Green Knight, on Amazon Prime.
This sort of culture of the streaming, the next big blockbuster, again, we've mentioned him. This might as well just be called episode 5, slag off Scorsese. But I believe, again, I don't fact check these things before coming into it. I'm sure that at one point he slagged off the whole streaming thing and someone went, but isn't The Irishman on Netflix?
Yeah, I think with him, there's a couple of things going on with, and this isn't necessarily to defend him particularly, but I think this is one of the things where the streamers can get these big name directors like Scorsese. Is I think The Irishman is a film that he was trying to make for quite a while, and basically, he couldn't get a studio to stump up the cash because the subject matter, how long it would be, the special effects work involved, it would be an expensive film and not one that was necessarily going to make its money back at the box office, right? Whereas a company like Netflix, it's worth their while giving him $200 million because, one, they can go, look, we've got a prestige filmmaker, one of the best filmmakers in the world, wants to work with us. Okay, so just for bragging rights, it's worth it for Netflix. Then they've got, if you want to see the latest Scorsese movie, get Netflix. So there's that in terms of bringing new customers in.
Well, I found the quote. Okay.
Go on.
So, of course, it was a Netflix, I say Netflix exclusive, it was made for Netflix, and therefore going to be streamed on any device you could install Netflix.
Yeah.
He's a classic legend of cinema.
Mm-hmm.
So, he quoted, and I quote, "If you ever want to see one of my pictures, or most films, please don't look at it on a phone. please. An iPad, a big iPad, maybe. So yeah, he knowingly made a film for a studio that is famous, available on anything.
Yeah.
And then went, yeah, but if you're going to watch it, please make sure you watch it properly. And I guess I get that. But again, it just tickles me that, yeah, but people do watch Netflix on their phones, which I don't.
They do. But interestingly as well, one of the things that Scorsese got, and I think a couple of other filmmakers have had this as well, with their deals with Amazon and Apple TV and Netflix, is as part of the deal, he insisted that The Irishman get a cinema release.
Which I think was a 3-week period before it came to Netflix.
Something like that, yeah. So, again, that's the trade-off and that can be made. It's like, okay, on the one hand, my film is going to go to streaming. But on the other hand, I can insist on even a short theatrical window. But I get to make the film, and it might be my only chance to make this film.
So therefore, I'll suck it up and deal with the distribution as it needs to be.
Yeah. And then you look at someone like Zack Snyder, who obviously went through a lot of grief, with Justice League and all that kind of thing. Netflix come along and basically give him a blank check and say, make whatever you want to make. No interference. I think that's one of the things. It's one of the things that they often get criticised about with their films with Netflix, is like this quality control. And again, going back to Red Notice, right? This kind of quality control. They're churning out so many. There are very few really, really good ones.
You're quite right.
The rest are average or just not very good. But imagine as a filmmaker, you're given this money and very little, if not zero, interference, because not that they don't care what the quality's like, but they want new content, they want new films, they want new TV shows that are exclusive to them, and they're willing to give the creators just the freedom to go off and do it. They want to be seen. I think they really pitched themselves, quote unquote, studio, but as a filmmaker's studio.
I like that. I like that.
Where come to us, Scorsese came to us, and we let him make the film he made.
We a good studio.
Yeah. We put it in the cinema for him, and we gave him the money, and we got the stars, and it's 5 hours long or whatever it might be.
But this ties in nicely to the whole home cinema experience.
Yeah.
Because we spoke about it on previous episode about Zack Snyder Cut. The Justice League Snyder Cut. And I paused it, I made my dinner, and then watched the second 2 hours.
Yeah.
The Irishman again, 4-hour film.
Yeah.
It's good to just break it up, but home cinema has started to become affordable.
Yes.
Even on the most basic level of a Blu-ray player and a good HD television.
Yeah, you can pick up a Blu-ray player for less than 50 quid. You can go into Asda and get a 50-inch TV for £300 or £400. Now, it might not be a very good one in the grand scheme of things, but for visual impact in the average living room, it's going to look fantastic, right? And again, it's like, even if you don't have a disc player, that TV will have the apps built in for Netflix, for Amazon and Disney Plus, etc. So you've got instant access to all these movies. You can get various options for surround sound, whether it's a basic sound bar, whether it's a full, complete, separate kit. Again, to fit most budgets, starting from a couple of £100 up to, limitless, really, thousands of pounds. And going back 20, 30 years, I remember when I first started collecting movies like properly and watching them and all this, and I got my big screen TV as advertised was a 25-inch TV.
Bloody hell.
Right?
My monitor's about that size.
Yeah, well, mine, yeah, exactly. Mine's bigger than that.
All right, calm down.
But that's it. It's like the definition of like the impact of watching a film at home 20 years ago. It just wasn't there.
No.
Right. But now you can get 40, 50, 65, 80, 100-inch TV, right? Just name your budget and you can get it. Whatever kind of surround sound system you want, discs, streaming, etc. It's just that just wasn't an option 20 years ago. You had no option but to go to the cinema.
But to go to the cinema and pay the money, and also with
pay the money.
Like you say, with the you talk about the advertising of the big screen television. Also, VCR players back then were a high ticket item to have in a home. It's like a pineapple. People would rent them off people.
Oh yeah. And as a kind of, in terms of viewing films at home, like now we're talking some films get released on the same day, right? You can stream it or you can go to the cinema on the same day. With Disney now, they're going down to this 45-day-ish release window, right? So we know that late December, early January, The Eternals is going to be on Disney Plus, right? We're only having to wait a couple of months for some of these big movies. Whereas I remember back in my day, a movie would come out in the cinema and then 6 months, 9 months later, it will be available on rental VHS from your Blockbusters or independents. Then maybe a few months after that, you'd be able to buy the rental tapes, but they'd be like 50 or 60 quid. Since the cinema release, it might be 18 months or 2 years before you could actually get the tape on what was called sell-through, which is like your 10 or 11 pound VHS in HMV or whatever. So these like the huge. First, you've had the film would come out in the cinema, and it would play for longer, and it'd often come back for repeat screenings, right?
Yeah.
Then maybe up to a year later, it'd then go on to rental. Then you'd have this long rental window of maybe up to another year. So yeah, you could be waiting a couple of years before you had a reasonably priced, legitimate. Obviously, there was piracy, but legitimate VHS copy of your favorite movie. Whereas now you could watch it digitally the same day it's in the cinema. You can buy it on a disc 2 or 3 months later. No Time to Die was released, when was it? October in
Something
the cinemas,
like that.
And it's out before Christmas on disc.
Now, I don't do this very often on the podcast, but you say back in my day. Actually, that wasn't that long ago. That was also, I remember that. So it couldn't have been 40 odd years ago.
No. I mean, let's say DVD was launched in '97, right? So that was in Japan. I think '98 in the UK. So, but within 5 or 6 years of that, VHS was essentially gone.
Yeah, but I remember the going to the Blockbuster. And the smell of popcorn, the sticky carpets.
Yeah, but was that Blockbuster with DVDs or VHS?
VHSs, my friend.
Oh, right, okay.
I remember that. I obviously remember the DVDs coming, but I remember renting VHSs from Blockbuster. It was used to be a nice part of the weekend. You'd go down, have it for the weekend, take it back. But
so that whole thing's changed.
The thing that the thing that is sticking in my head since we've been talking about this is always the advert. When you go to the theatre, you sit down, you're ready to go, the lights come out, and big booming voice comes on going, "You can't get the cinema experience anywhere else," or something of the like. No, quite right. Because if I watch a film at home, it's just me, my other half, and no f***ing kids pissing me off.
Yeah, it's not the positive they think it might be.
Not anymore.
Sometimes.
Not anymore.
No, absolutely.
I don't know if that's the note to end on, to be quite honest. We've talked a lot. Again, this can be cut out if it's shit. But that could be the point to end on. That going to the cinema isn't what it used to be.
It isn't, no. And I think on a positive note, right?
Oh, don't start getting all positive on us now.
No, I think as we've said before, right, there are some films that just need to be seen on the big screen, either because of the visual impact or that kind of group experience of watching a film, right? Whether it's comedies work best in a crowded cinema because the laughs feed the laughs, right? Horror films work best in a crowded cinema.
Absolutely.
Because the tension, everyone is tense and you sense everyone's tension, and the jumps feed the jumps, okay? So there are certain films that just work with a crowd and are preferably seen, at least for the first time, in a cinema with other people. But watching a film at home is now a much better experience than it used to be. Visually, on an audio level, on a big screen, sharp picture, HDR, 4K, all of that kind of thing, and without the knobheads
Because
chatting away.
you're quite right. And
know.
my Ghostbusters experience a few weeks ago was joyous. We went slightly later. The little children had gone to bed. Although there was like a 9-year-old watching, which I thought was a bit mad, with his dad, and his dad just buggered off for about 20 minutes. It was really strange. Anyway, I digress.
Okay.
Look at her going, is he on his own? Like, anyway, it was good. They weren't this wasn't people mucking about. There weren't phones. People were just there to enjoy themselves, and that's what I remembered about the cinema. That was the magic of the cinema.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I have put off watching The Eternals and waiting for it to come to disc, because I've collected the MCU. I'm obviously going to collect The Eternals. I have sort of resided to the fact that I will happily wait for it and watch it at home, and I'll enjoy it at home.
Yeah.
And that honestly makes me sad. I've seen most Marvel films in the cinema, and that might be the first. I've booked tickets for Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
But,
and it is sad, because you're right. I think the experience is not as good as it used to be, and this is without COVID. I mean, the dickheads have always been there, and the costs have been creeping up. If I would go a lot more if it wasn't so expensive, and if I knew that I could watch it without the constant chatter or phone screens in the corner of my eye.
Exactly.
And I think cinemas, what can they do? They could enforce rules more. You know, like you said, sometimes it's down to the other customers.
It's always down. The general public are a bunch of bastards. Let's face it. We are as a nation. I'm going to say then. No, let's not do that. But just as a group of people, we are more. I can do what I want.
Yeah.
I've paid my ticket. I'm going to do what I want. It's like the drunk person at a gig who pushes into everyone. Well, I've paid my money to be here. But there we are. There we are. Cinema has changed. It's interesting to see what other people might think as well.
Yes, indeed. Well, on that note, we'll probably wrap up. We've waffled a lot. As always, comments welcome on the socials, at Steelbook Blu-ray. You can follow us there. Email podcast@culturetrumpet.com. As always, we've got the Patreon. If you want to be the first one to chip in, the offer from last time is still there. The first person who chips in gets to suggest our next subject to talk about in depth.
Because we will run out of subjects that we want to talk about.
We've got a list. It's slowly getting ticked off. And we also have a survey, again, which is still running. If you want to leave any feedback, please do. And I think that probably covers it, doesn't it? I think we've gone on enough.
Probably. I mean, let's look ahead to what's coming up in the next, month, because this episode is going to be in December. So coming up, we've got the new Matrix, we've got Spider-Man, No Way Home. Book the tickets. I'm so excited. I'm going on release day. I'm so excited. And there's other films I can't remember.
Yeah, the Matrix one is odd. I mean, I've seen a couple of the trailers.
I've opened a can of worms here. In closing, what have I done?
In closing, I enjoy the original trilogy. I think I prefer the second film to the first. I think the third one is a bit of a mess, but at least it finishes the story. I just don't see what else there is to do with the Matrix film.
Obvious, isn't it? Reboot it with the same actors, but not some of the others, and see where it goes.
Yeah, but where is it going to go?
I will find out.
Are we
late
interested
December.
in seeing where it goes?
I am.
Fair enough.
That's it for us, then, I guess.
That's it, I think.
Yeah.
Cheerio.
If nobody tells us don't come back, we will.
No,
we'll see you next time.
We'll keep going.
Bye.
To be fair, even if people do tell us to stop, we'll probably just still keep going out of spite.
Yeah. I'm like that. I like that.
So
awesome. Yeah. Next time.
Call you. Bye.